Kia ora team, today I'm going to show you how to polish and shine your boots correctly. Here we have a boot that has only ever had one layer of polish, so it's nice and dull and fresh out the box. And here is my boot, it's a couple of years old, but it's been shined a few times. As you can see a nice shine starting to form on that. We're going to start here with the new boot. Okay, you can see it's dull, hasn't had much work. What we're going to do is start off with a couple of base layers. Now for the base layer, all that you're going to need is some standard Kiwi boot polish or shoe polish. Don't use the parade gloss stuff, this stuff is the stuff that shines best. Then you're going to need an application rag, or you can use an application brush, and an off brush for buffing. So to start off, crack your tin of boot polish open, get your rag around 2 fingers, nice and tight, like that. Get a good amount of boot polish on there, and go over any areas that are leather on the boot. Starting with the toe cap, and you want to apply it in nice, firm, small circles, like this. Give it a good work over, really apply it in. The more work you do here, and the better that you do this base layer, the better it's going to shine later on. Don't be afraid to apply plenty of polish on these base layers. Any excess you're going to buff off anyway. Cool, so that's the toe cap. Work your way around the other areas of the boot, including around the laces here. And once you've done that, you're going to let that dry for about 10 to 15 minutes. Cool, so I've let this dry for about 10 minutes, and now we're going to buff it off. So you want to get your off brush. This is a nice soft horsehair brush, or you can get these at the supermarket wherever you buy your polish from. Okay, and you just want to go over it. And the key here is to make friction and get all of the excess polish that didn't soak into the boot. You want to get all that off. Okay, your boot is not going to look hugely shiny after these base layers, but it's important because the next step builds on top of these base layers, and the better you do these layers, the better your boot's going to look. Okay, just keep going over it until you think that you've got all of the excess polish off. Okay, so you can see that's a little bit more shiny than it was to start with, but again, just a base layer, we're not looking for a shine yet. Okay, you want to do that once or twice more, and that is just building up a good base layer of polish on the boot that you can work off of. The next part of this is called shining, and for that we're going to use my other boot. Cool, now we're going to move on to the other boot, and I'm going to show you how to build on that base layer using a technique called shining. Okay, what you'll need is an application cloth. This is a fine cotton cloth that's very soft, or you can use a cotton ball. Then boot polish, same as before. Some way of applying moisture to the boot. Okay, I like to use this little spray bottle. It makes an even mist, or you can dunk your rag in water as you go. And then lastly, to finish off, a nice nylon pantyhose or something like that to help get that final shine. Cool. To start off, find a clean bit of rag, wrap it around your finger, and just get a tiny little bit of polish on the end of your rag. Okay, it doesn't need to be much, the less the better. The key here is building up small layers on top of each other, which will help you get that final shine. Okay, and then to start, you're going to apply a layer of moisture to the end of the boot, or dunk this in some water. Then what you want to start doing is those tiny little circles, applying the polish to the toe cap of the boot. Now the key here is that you're polishing the base layer of polish. Okay, that is the part that will make it shine. You're building up layers on top of each other, and that is how you achieve a mirror finish as such. Now it's important to keep it moist as you go. I use a spray bottle, or you can keep this rag wet, or I also like to use hot breath to keep a nice cloud of moisture on the end of the toe cap. Like that. Okay? Keeping it moist helps it shine a lot better. I don't know how it works, it's just science. Tiny little circles, working it in, and you'll start to see that polish is coming off the rag and working its way into the boot. You'll see little clouds, circular clouds starting to form in your boot. That's what you want. And keep going until those clouds start to disappear. So you're working the polish off the cloth into the boot, and then the cloth is buffing off that tiny little extra bit that hasn't quite soaked in. Once you get to about this point, depending on the application cloth that you're using, they're all different. Some may take longer, some may take shorter. But you can see that it's now clear of those little clouds. Okay, from here, it's a bit wet, I'm just going to dry it there. To get that final shine and get those tiny little clouds that you might still be in there, you want to get your nylon, whatever it might be, and just run it lightly over the toe cap to get that final shine. And by no means is this a perfect shine. Okay, these are very old boots and there's been some damage to the leather on the toe cap, so they're never going to be perfect, but that is more than acceptable for a parade.
You want to repeat this shining process about 10 to 15 times to build up to a mirror finish. That may change, but do as many as you think is necessary. To reiterate, there's two parts to properly caring for your boot. First, building the base layer, and then working on top of the base layer using a mirror shining technique to achieve a shine such as this. If you have any questions, please come and ask.